What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Link Live. We're on episode 4 here. I've been looking forward to speaking to these next two individuals for quite some time now. When we were coming up with the idea to do this show, I knew both Dan Meyer and Nora O'Leary of Vibeapple Events were going to be a couple individuals that I definitely wanted to speak to. You know, they both have an amazing story with how the inception of Vibeapple was created. Dan coming over from Cape Town, South Africa, moving to Chicago over 10 years ago now, is something that's, very special. And I have been able to see their success, watch them grow, be a part of them growing. And I'm just so excited for what the future holds with the Vibeapple vision. In this episode, we're going into everything that goes into the logistics of event planning, behind the scenes into Dan and Nora's thoughts for curating these flagship events throughout Chicago, and some of the key partners, relationships, and individuals that they've been able to leverage that has taken them to that next level. So without further ado, let's hop into this next episode of Link Live. Link Live episode 4. We're here with Dan Meyer, founder of Vibeapple Events, Nora O'Leary, COO of Vibeapple Events. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for being here. I have a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that the fans want to know that happen behind the scenes of everything. No, jokes aside though, we want to go a little bit deeper into the background of Vibeapple, how it started, inception of the brand, kind of talk about how you guys came onto the scene in Chicago, and just fill in the viewer. So let's start with a little background on both of you guys and kind of what you used to do prior to Vibeapple. Dan, you obviously have a bit more of a story to it as well, where you're from. So let's hop into that.
Great. Well, thanks for having us. Originally from South Africa. City of Cape Town. Beautiful. You should check it out. I moved to Chicago about 10 years ago. Actually, my 10-year anniversary was a month ago. I came over to do some corporate work, corporate consulting. And eventually, 10 years later, I'm now, I have a green card. So I'm a permanent resident, which is exciting. And, started Vibeapple about 3 years ago. But my background is really accounting, finance, consulting. So very different to events and creating experiences.
Awesome. Nora, background. Let us know.
Yeah, a little avant-garde there. I was a speech therapist in nursing homes for close to 10 years. When Daniel started doing Vibeapple, I started helping him at the door while I was being a speech therapist. And one thing led to another. And a couple of years later, we're sitting here with you. Left that world behind to do something more fun and vibrant. So
cool. And then how did you guys link up originally? You guys just met each other through the social streets of Chicago?
Yeah, so Heather is Nora's best friend. And I met Heather about 9 years ago. She's a close friend of mine too. And so we've just been friends for basically 10 years now, actually.
Yeah. Back in the day when people would go to the bar,
Yeah,
everybody
people would
drinking beers.
People would leave their house.
You run into each other. You say, hi, who are you?
Yeah, real life interactions.
Yeah.
Crazy. Awesome. So talk to me a little bit about the inception then of Vibeapple, kind of while you were still working corporate. Obviously, I could relate to that story a lot in this case. But when you had that kind of epiphany point of okay, this is something I think I want to make my life, make my career, what are some of the things that happen along the way throughout that process?
Yeah, so during during COVID, had a lot of time to think about life and what I'm doing with it. I just got my green card. I was free to now look for other jobs, but obviously it's COVID, so nothing available. So I just stuck with the corporate stuff. But I always dreamed of starting an events company. So I dreamed it up, and eventually when the restrictions lifted, we decided to do a small boat party. Which did really well. Then we did a mini Halloween, a mini ugly sweater party, and it just got momentum. And then, I think the big break for us is when we met Luke and Ellis from Fox 32 Sports, or the Avli Group. You've probably seen him.
Yep.
He gave us the chance to do a Mykonos all-white themed event at Avli, and that really put us on the map. And I feel still working corporate, had Vibeapple as a side hobby just to keep life interesting. And eventually it became so big and so popular that I was like, you know what, I can actually make a career out of this now. And I think 2023 2023, I made the big jump, took the big risk, and now we're here.
And it paid off. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, you're 2 years coming up.
I know, it's crazy.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
2 years St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, so 9th of March 2023 is when I resigned. I walked
Wow.
out.
Cut the corporate
peace
tie.
out, corporate America. So it was definitely a complete shift in what I'm doing. Woke up, every morning, a little bit of anxiety. But once we nailed that St. Patrick's Day party in 2023, it's been a breeze ever since.
Sky's the limit. I want to talk about that because obviously St. Patrick's Day is a very symbolic date and time of the year for Vibeapple. And obviously now, as we know, you kind of making that jump. I want to backtrack a little bit because I think probably part of the success that you were alluding to is the development of relationships, kind of shaking the right hands, especially in a big metro area like Chicago. Talk a little bit about, and this is a question for both of you, who are some of the key players involved that allowed you guys to kind of build on the success you were happening? Was it a lot of word of mouth in the beginning? Were you guys texting every single one of your friends that you know? How are you guys really getting people to come to the events early on without having a name in the city?
Yeah, well, there's two questions there. One is like who we know and how we, elevated.
Sure.
But in terms of like our social circle is pretty big, especially prior to COVID, a lot of friends. And so initially, a lot of house parties or get-togethers, birthdays, engagement parties, etc. We have a wide net of friends in the city. I think word of mouth, I think Nora agreed with this, word of mouth has been huge for us. Friend brings a friend who brings a friend. We've done, limited marketing, and you know this better than we do. Limited marketing is where we got to this point, and it's all, word of mouth. Hey, these parties are fun, good people, good crowd, and it spread like wildfire.
Yeah. And I think like my inception story of Vibeapple, in short, is simply like our friend group just got too big, right?
Yeah.
So Dan has a ton of friends, and he's always the person coordinating and getting everybody in the same room. I'm the same in my friend group. And when we put them all together, it becomes, 50 people, 60 people. And so word of mouth is really how it's all gotten up until we met you guys.
Right. Yeah, it makes our job a lot easier on the link side when you have a tested proof of concept before bringing on a team. Makes the sell in that case just is much easier. But
yeah. And then your second question about who do we know that got us or helped us out. Definitely big shout out to Luke and Ellis, who,
big Chicago face.
Yeah. he opened the door for a lot of things we're doing. So like forever grateful. And then also David Goldberg, who's also opened the door with a lot of venues and sponsors and other connections in the industry. Both of those guys adore us and love what we're doing and support us. So very grateful for them too. I think those are the main two in my memory now.
For sure. I guess kind of a natural segue there. Talk to us a little bit about either some of the challenges or sort of, I think a lot of people are very into what you guys do or like have questions about it. How has been navigating the relationship part with these venues gone, right? Because that could be a very tricky thing to do. Yeah. How does that stuff work? How do you keep elevating the venues? Because I think, at least from when I was on the outside personally, before we started working together, I think one of the main differentiators between Vibeapple and other groups is you guys actually have events at venues people want to go to aside from Vibeapple or not, which makes it that much better. So,
yeah, so I think with us, we're always trying to find a venue that's unique or is not typically a venue that people party at. Mm-hmm. And our whole, ethos is that we create experiences for people. So experiential event production is what we specialize in. So what we're looking to do is, you walk into that, Avli on the park venue, and we want you to feel like you're in Mykonos for the night. And so that's how we, would elevate the experience for people. We also look to see what theme or what holiday matches that certain venue. And then we connect the dots. And, I think for us, it's like, we're looking for the next best thing, and how can we turn what we already have into something even better. And so we're always looking to improve.
Absolutely. Nora, anything on that?
Yeah, I think Dan has an incredible ability to walk into nearly any space and just see magic in his head. It's like AI is in your brain constantly. And that's been true for a while, but I think that ability to see a venue, but also make strong relationships with the right people is where that magic area happens.
Yeah. I think another big synergy as well, and something that differentiates you guys, is the curation aspect. Like you said, you guys are now at a point where you have a few key flagship events, at least I would say, that are recognizable amongst, your audience in the city of Chicago for sure. Talk to us a little bit how those came to be. I know you kind of alluded to it a little bit, connecting some key holidays that people already celebrate and then leveraging that further. But some of them are very niche, right? And they kind of speak to what the Vibeapple team's interests are, some of their passions, and you kind of are good at fusing those together.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the holidays, and we'll go to St. Patrick's Day first. I've been living in Chicago for 10 years, so I've gone out on the day, and it's, you try to go to a bar and you can't get in, there's lines, it's cold, it's no code check, and it's just a nightmare. So I thought, why don't we just create the biggest party where everyone can get in? There's no lines for the most part, and then everyone can be together, and it's not just waiting outside and being cold. So that's where Lucky Disco kind of came from, was like, how do we make the biggest party on St. Patrick's Day that allows for everyone to be together.
Right.
Then for Halloween obviously is a big one. We were super lucky again. Luke and Ellis, shout out to him. He got us the venue at the Ogilvy train station, and we're able to transform that into a haunted, train station, which is amazing. Like, that party is super unique and no one else does it, and that's unique to us. Then other concepts like Inflatable Safari. Being from South Africa, I kind of wanted to bring some of my culture, at least the African spirit, to Chicago, and do because we're in a concrete jungle. I thought, how do I turn this into African safari? And so I came up with the idea of doing 500 inflatable animals scattered across the patio and the bar, and vines and oversized balloons, and even found a giant elephant that we put up, just to spice up the 4th of July weekend, just have something different. And then obviously the white parties we do twice a year because they're so popular that people want it. So we do start of summer and a summer, but for the most part the themes just come based on the holiday or whatever pops into our heads.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there, because at least to me, right, people are looking for these new things to keep their social life exciting. I want to talk about that a little bit. From my hospitality background, I kind of firsthand saw this, but I may have not been, going out as much as far back as you guys have as well. How do you guys see? Sorry. How do you guys see
I think that was a little jab.
And why that has shifted, right? Because it used to be very much so people would casually go out, bars, clubs, no matter what venue it was. Everything was packed, and then there was kind of post-COVID this shift. And then that's where a lot of, groups like Vibeapple kind of emerged off the scene, giving people a different opportunity to, express themselves, go out, do something different.
Yeah. I think I got a lot, probably more than most people. And I was kind of getting bored of the different places. And I love Chicago, and this is my home now. But I was kind of bored of what I was doing. It was monotonous. So I was like, I could throw a party.
Right.
Let me do it. Let me try. And that kind of got me into the momentum of doing this because, I travel quite a lot. I love to experience new things. So when I do travel, I get ideas and I bring them back to the city and then throw these different concepts. So yeah, I think after COVID, people were, also bored of the same old.
Yeah. I think people, just like Dan, you slowed down, you took time to think about where are my priorities? And I think there's a group of people within Chicago and many other cities, I'm sure, where, you realize you don't want to be out at the club till 4:00 in the morning.
Right.
You still love DJs. You still love seeing your friends. You still love the dance floor. You love all of that. But you have to get to work on Monday and you have to have your brain functioning. And so I think Vibeapple has this unique, little aspect of the weekend or, once a month where you're going out till midnight, maybe 2 a.m. You're seeing all the same people. You're having that same ritualistic experience, but you're going home and you're going to bed.
Yeah.
The thing is also about what our events are different is that you have the people that go to the dance floor and they stay there all night and they dance. Then you have people that go to the bar and they chill at the bar and they drink. Then you have the other people that are socializing and interacting. And we saw, with COVID, how it affected people. And so it's great to see now there's like a community. And so people are able to like mingle and actually meet each other in real life, as opposed to like, the dating app scene that we're all accustomed to, during the COVID times. But I think our event allows you to experience different things. And we love to add fun aspects to our parties. They're not just DJ dance floor. We
For
have, effects. There's like, crazy decor. You can interact with things. So that's why it's different and more fun.
Yeah, there's definitely something for everybody. I think one of the most important aspects of how you guys have been able to make Vibeapple so credible as well has been the relationships you've created with different sponsors and different companies. How important has that been to what you guys have accomplished already and then the trajectory of where you guys are going?
Yeah, I think some of the partnerships, obviously you said sponsorship, but I think also charities. We've helped about 4 or 5 charities now.
Awesome.
So we love to partner with Paws for dogs and cats. Usually, have the relationship with them is really strong. We're having them be part of our event so we can give back to them.
Yeah.
But for like sponsors, sponsorship, they're looking for our clientele. And so typically they're coming to us and they're trying to push their product or their brand. We make sure that whatever brand they have aligns with our attendees so that they're getting the best value.
For sure.
We never want to have a sponsor that doesn't align with our values.
Yeah. And I think one thing that we really enjoy and what we've noticed is the same with the demographic of people that come to our events is that they love the new and the cool and the interesting. They like to be the first on the scene. And so we're able to partner with those up and coming brands and say like, okay, your demographic, we have it. See if they like it, do samples, come on premise, get their feedback. And then we can watch those brands grow as well. So it's a little entrepreneurial startup community.
Because we're still small. I don't think we're like a large company yet, but we started somewhere and someone gave us a chance. So we like, as Nora mentioned, we like to help little companies as well. So we give little guys a chance because we were once a little guy.
Right. Yeah, it's for sure a win-win, right? No pressure environment with a lot of these companies and partnerships that come on. There's a lot of value to go around. One thing I definitely want to talk about is how you're able to navigate and build such a successful team around you. I think there's a lot of these event organizations that pop up on the scene that may not be supported with the same resources that you've been able to build and curate. Probably coming off one of the biggest Vibeapple milestones that I've seen, in my opinion, which was Art Basel 2024 in Miami, which was amazing. Very fortunate that the Link team was able to be a part of that. From my eyes, right, that doesn't happen without the team that you've been able to curate, trust, delegate to. So I want you to talk about, how is that came to be, and who are some of the key players that you really rely on, because big misconception, people just come to these events, they leave these events and they think they just popped up out of nowhere. We could save the logistical stuff for another time, but there's definitely a lot more that goes in behind the scenes that people are not aware of.
You want to jump on that one?
Yeah, I think the team is what makes Vibeapple different at the end of the day. I think we have a core group, maybe between like 10 to 15 people that all have outside full-time jobs. And this is a space where they've found an outlet to find community through creation, I guess. And so we have people who are a part of the Chicago Fire Department. We have people who are project managers for construction companies. All these people that have this outlet where they're coming together and creating, something like wild that Dan thinks like a wild stage in his mind. And it's nice to see those people on a consistent basis come through and they jump at it. I think a lot of that comes to Dan and his way to manage people from his experience in his corporate position. He's used to managing people and finding their strengths and putting them in the positions that match their personalities best. If someone isn't thriving in that one spot, Dan will find something, identify their strengths, identify some challenges, and move them where they're going to be happiest. So,
yeah, absolutely. What Nora said. I think the team around us is brilliant. We're very blessed to have some really, really hardworking individuals that believe in our vision and our passion. Again, creativity is what I love, And so I'm allowing a lot of our team members to like be creative. For example, Halloween, I have a vision for one of the sections that we wanted to build. I said to one of the team members, hey, here's all the materials. You create it. I believe in you. Go do it. And she created a beautiful, art installation for us, which was highly interacted with during the event. So it's giving opportunities to people to like be creative in a space. So,
well, to me, the biggest attraction of Vibeapple, or why you guys are a prime example, is you guys have the business model down. The creativity aspect it still takes a lot of talent and it's hard, but in a area like Chicago, I don't want to say it's easy to plug and play music and promo and do that stuff, but it's very accessible. It's very abundant, right? Even off camera, we were just talking about, Dan, what's the reason, the parties are 14 hours, whatever, 12 hours. There's a method, there's a reason for that, that people wouldn't normally understand, which we get into. But let's talk a little bit about the concepts of how the events are started. I know I alluded to earlier, there's some like flagship events you guys have, but where do you guys take the inspo for the concepts? Who else is behind helping within that? And then we could talk a little bit more about curation, because there's a lot that goes behind the scenes into curating the venues.
Yeah, so a lot of the concepts come from my brain, to be honest. But obviously, I have the team help me like flush them out. But what I love to do is travel. So I've traveled to the 19 countries, which seems like a lot, but there's 180 something out there. So still a long way to go. But I get a lot of inspiration from traveling. So seeing things, and for example, in Tulum, when I went there in 2020, I went to, I think, Taboo is the restaurant, and Rosa Negra, they would have these sparklers come out, and people with like a violin, and it's a whole thing. And I was blown away about it, and like, I have to bring this back to Chicago.
Yeah.
I never really knew how to, right? It's a cool idea. And then fast forward to 2022, when we did the Nights of Mykonos at Avli, we themed it all white and made it like a Mykonos theme. I incorporated the sparklers as the fun activation. So that to me was getting inspiration from somewhere else and bringing it to Chicago and celebrating it.
Right. Do you think the Avli events is the event that put you guys on the map, more or less?
Yeah, I think that was the first big one we did. Before that, we were just doing like smaller Halloween or like, Christmas parties or New Year's Eve, nothing crazy. I think that was the first one that really people noticed who we were and were like, wow, this is really cool. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, that was my follow-up for Nora. Like, what you think was the catalyst?
I'll take questions for you, sorry.
What was the catalyst, you think, from doing the smaller events to then doing a 3-level party at a venue like Avli on the Park, and then being able to top that thereafter?
Yeah, I think even the Nights in Mykonos, even when we meet people out and about, whether we're networking or at a business meeting, people organically will say, oh, I've been to that party. I know which one. I've been there before. Okay, what's your next one? So I definitely think that was the launching point.
Absolutely.
And then, we've mentioned Lou before, but having a business where it is a higher end, finer dining, it's a nice restaurant. People are going and spending their money and ordering a bottle of wine, and having the trust of the venue that we're not going to, destroy their beautiful interior design and all the elements that they have going on there. I think that builds a lot of trust for then other venues to believe in us, that we can come in and they can go back to business as normal the following day.
Yeah, I was going to say, it takes a lot of trust with these venues, because there's not a lot of spaces in Chicago that are going to allow you to take over their venue for an entire night and essentially curate everything top to bottom.
And just remember that they normally operate as like a restaurant, right? So they're not doing big parties usually.
Right.
We're coming in as like a special event, collaborating with them to do something really unique. And that's different from like going out to the normal clubs or bars on a regular weekend. We're creating something special for them. And so to Nora's point, when we do go out and about and people are like, oh yeah, I've been to that white party or the Mykonos party, we have to get the branding down. Nights in Mykonos. But no, it's known as the Mykonos white party, the Avli party. It's synonymous, and it's great because we see, based on the data, that every time we do one, we do 2 a year because it's that popular, people want it,
right?
That we have new attendees every time. So the party is staying alive. And in nightlife, concepts and stuff sometimes do die out. This one seems to, keep the attention, and it's still going strong 3 years later. And it's a testament to like really good brand.
Yeah. I think the timing, the way in which you guys plan timing of the events is very crucial as well. Obviously is very popular. It happens, Memorial Day weekend. And then once again in September, those are two very key times of the year here in Chicago, weather, and stuff like that. So that definitely plays a role into it. I think another big word that comes to mind when I think of Vibeapple is the idea of curation, right? Talk to us about how the business changed when it went from the smaller parties to then having to invest in decorations, production, staff, sound. You're bringing in other vendors. That's a whole other sort of side to the business that, lacks attention sometimes.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like Amazon loves us.
I bet.
So, no, but
So
also
does your door person.
yeah, my door. Yeah, you should see. Sometimes I have like crazy amount of boxes. At the lobby, and I'll get a call or a text saying, "Hey, you need to come get these." But no, we've also looked at like other suppliers too, besides Amazon, as we've grown to get like better rates and prices for things. But yeah, the whole curation part of it, it takes a whole team to put together the entire day. It's not just you. When you walk in and experience it, it's obviously you think it's just been there, but we've actually been sweating for like 12 hours getting it set up or the day before. So there's a lot that goes into curation. Very grateful to have some really good suppliers and also team members that are dedicated and help us, for the late hours, especially when we have to break it down. I think that's even like the worst part about events is the breakdown, because after we create these beautiful things, we have to tear them down.
The last thing you want to do.
And it sucks because you're like, wow, that's so beautiful. And then, okay, party's over, time to pack it up.
Yeah. That stuff's usually happening same night, following morning.
Yeah.
Everybody's exhausted.
We've had the venues keep our stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, it looks great.
That's good.
Send us an invoice.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay.
Yeah, actually, so funny story. When we did the inflatable safari at Recess, to Nora's point, they had these like metal beams up to there. I think it's called a pergola, if I'm saying that right.
Okay.
But basically, we put greenery up the pillars. There's 4 pillars, and it's still there today. Like, so our installation is like, they liked it so much they kept it. So now when we come and do inflatable safari in July, it's already up. So like that's helpful.
Awesome.
It saves a little bit of time, but obviously it's cool that they did that.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
And with the curation aspect of it, Dan will come in and he is the big concept, right? And then what I like about what you do is going back to Dan finding everyone's unique talent, but there will be different activations and different aspects of the party. These are parties that go for a long period of time, and there's also a large amount of square footage. So there are opportunities for people on our team to get involved and be like, okay, this is your area. What is your creative vision for this space? Like, these are the materials that we have at it.
Sure.
So that's when, we have different things like a watering hole and, and all of a sudden, like, it was just a barren place. And now there's like, 500 little flamingos with cup holders and everyone's wandering around the party with them. So that's how those things get to be, is because we are a collaborative style when it comes to the execution of the event.
Yeah. Speaking of watering hole, we actually had an attendee, I think it was just pink inflatable flamingos, and dived into it.
No.
She got wet on the one side, but she's okay. She laughed it off, but probably should put a sign like there's actual water in the watering hole. It's actually a big inflatable pool.
Something.
And yeah, so everything's inflatable. And so we do put water in there for the animals to float in. But yeah, so that was pretty funny. Shout out to Riley. She's the one that did that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Just so people could grasp the idea of it, throw out a production number. Throw out a number for an event that would help people grasp the size of what you guys are doing.
When you say production, I'm
like
talking
an
about
expense, dollar amount. Give them a Dan Meyer range.
Okay, so Halloween.
You give a range and I'll give a range.
Well, Halloween, which is at Ogilvy train station, which is insane.
Yeah.
Again, shout out to Lou for getting us that venue. That one is 3 dance floors, the whole concourse where the French market is.
Yep.
That. And so that's 3 different dance floors, 3 different styles of decorating. Obviously, we have different themes with Halloween, but that one is a huge undertaking, and that was about 70 to 100K in production.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's it's very expensive to produce that type of spectacle.
Sure.
Obviously we try to reduce costs where we can, but our goal is that when you walk into a venue, you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. This is amazing. And then, that's the experience we're giving. We'll never, cut corners on costs to reduce the experience. The experience is number one, and then we'll figure out the money afterwards.
For sure. You led me into my next segue there, which is like following curation, I'd say, is experience. Like, I think that's the number one thing that I remember you drilling down from us meeting over a year or two ago now is the experience is number one. How people feel when they come to an event is most important. And what they say when they leave an event is, just as important. So it goes to show you, right, with how much you guys are investing in terms of expenses, not cutting costs on quality, following experience. So there has to be some entertainment portion to that. How have you guys been able to program, unique young talent within DJs and other entertainers throughout the events?
Yeah, so one of our other partners, Amari, also well-known DJ in the industry, he's really good at curating different genres of music in different rooms, especially when we have multiple rooms, like Lucky Disco, for example, which has 5 different dance floors from last year. He's been able to, find DJs that fill those slots, but he's also really good at giving younger DJs an opportunity to actually play on a bigger stage.
Right.
Instead of just like a bar or like a smaller club. They actually get, a lot of people have had their debuts through Vibeapple, which is incredible. I think last year we had over 200 new DJs play for us.
That's crazy.
Over the course of the year. So I think it's really important we give back to the Chicago community and music community so that they can also thrive. So It's great to see a lot of DJs now started with us and now they're doing big things. So it's great to see.
For sure. To take it a step further, you guys are partnering with charities, different foundations, artists, dancers. Talk to us a little bit about how those relationships kind of come.
Yeah, I think a lot of them have happened organically through doing these large events. People are coming up, they'll come up to me or they'll come up to Dan and, they'll start asking questions just like you are. But when you start having those intimate conversations with your guests, they have something to contribute to, right?
Sure.
They have their own businesses, they have their own things that they're passionate about, and we can always find ways to plug and play things that they bring up. And I think that's how a lot of our partnerships have really happened. It's been mostly organic. Like NAMI, for example, we've just organically happened to collaborate with them, and we look forward to a Big 25 collaborating and seeing how we can help bring our guests in front of their, their platform and spread awareness for them. I don't know. I think for me, that's it.
Yeah. So NAMI, if you don't know what that is, it's mental health awareness charity that they have a hotline and they do some programs and help rehabilitate people. So it's a great charity. And so we're partnering up, as Nora said, we're helping them with some of their events this year to like give them that extra special experience and also helping them with some other curation. So it's an exciting partnership. And that's someone who approached Nora and we had a conversation and now they're part of our vision for 2025, which is great.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's something that's always been obvious to me is sort of the versatility of the guests who are at Vibeapple events, very large range of demographics, but there's something for everybody. And if there's not something for everybody at a certain event, there's definitely going to be an event that covers it throughout the year, quarter, whatever it might be. So that's a really cool aspect to what you guys do. It's not all sunshine and rainbows though, as they say. Everything's not perfect, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes when we get to see it behind the scenes, things are extremely chaotic, extremely stressful. There's a lot of frequency, a lot of individuals you're dealing with. It's not always the easiest. What are some of the key things that people may not be aware of? Some lessons you've learned, some, event horror stories, if you will, that are funny here.
Yeah, for most of the part, it's controlled chaos. So it's not like it's completely wild. But no, people don't really realize behind the scenes. And nor should they, because again, we want to show them the final product. And so we're very blessed. Again, we've been doing this for 2 to 3 years now. We found a really good core team that knows what to do now, well oiled and gets the job done. Initially, we ran into issues where maybe a supplier that we chose or we trusted, let us down. It's always, how do we bounce back and problem solve? Luckily, everyone on the team has that ability to problem solve and come with solutions and fix issues. I mean, there's certain things, we've had, we're lucky, weather's been pretty on our side.
Sure.
But there's situations where weather could go wrong,
Don't say
so.
that. Making me nervous.
Well, yeah, knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Thank you. But basically, you always have to think of what could go wrong. And from my consulting background, assessing risk is something I used to do for years. So I'm very aware of what could go wrong and then figuring out the solution if that happens. And we work with venues too that are, ready to go. For the most part, I think if you have the right team around you, anything is possible. And even in the most chaotic situation, we'll get the job done.
Yeah. And I think one thing, especially maybe now we're getting a little bit smoothed out, but people will come to the door, right? So my first position, and probably the part that, at least on event day, what I'm most in charge of is how the door functions, right? And people will come in and they're angry and this and the other. But what they don't realize is that we've only really been in business for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because everything is so elaborate and it is so long and it's so big and there's so many people, it can appear that we are a fully functioning business.
Yeah.
But Dan is the only person who's full time. So there are going to be things that fall through the cracks or, things that we might have missed. And so we just have to communicate that, hey, I apologize. We'll do better next time. And then also knowing when, being able, I think our staff does a good job of being able to read themselves and being self-aware that, okay, listen, I'm in a stressed moment. I might not be the best person to have this conversation. So I'll have Dan come in and navigate that. And so relying on each other to keep even keeled has been key.
Yeah, I think we tailor, I tell whether an event is going really well is if I don't get any calls to go to the door. To deal with something. Typically we don't, but there's been some situations where we had one guy was very upset because someone called him a name and he was really upset, and we're so I calmed him down, heard his side of the story. I knew my door team wasn't really able to handle him, so I was able to remove him from the situation, help him out, figure it out, get him Uber home, and he was good to go.
Right.
Whereas there's situations where you can have this is a public event. We are very blessed that the crowd that shows up is a great crowd, and we are very stoked about that. But you do get bad elements sometimes, and it's just how to deal with them. We never fight, fire with fire. We always try to calm things down and understand the scenario, and then make the best decision. So, yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Keeps us on our toes doing different venues, though, because every single time we go into a venue, it's a new security. It's a new general manager.
Right.
It's all the logistics are different. And I think that's one aspect of Vibeapple or being a pop-up event company that people don't take into account.
So one security guard can be, a bit more aggressive than another security guard.
Sure.
Then they think it's Vibeapple, but it's a security company that might be hired by the venue.
Right.
And so it's unfortunate, but we try to work with the security to explain to them, and help them out. Hey, let's be more hospitable to the guests. We don't need to completely shake them down as if they're about to rob something. We can also, there's ways to go about it. More hospitality, and you mentioned that earlier. Hospitality is huge, and if you don't get it right, people will realize.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's part of your guys' success too. We've talked about this a lot. People want to feel comfortable when they're going out. They don't want to feel like they're getting judged. They don't want to feel like they're getting, patted down and all these assumptions being thrown out, and that's becoming harder and harder. So at the end of the day, to me, it's you guys are in the people business. Yes, hospitality is people. You're taking care of people. You want them to have a good experience. So how you take care of them is your exact reputation. But no, I think you guys kill that aspect of it. Part of what you guys are known for as well, and how people are consuming your brand is obviously through a lot of social media, and how you've been able to leverage content and advertising, stuff like that. When did that become like apparent to you within your journey that was something you had to go all in on? Obviously, that's how our relationship is came to be and such. But when did you guys recognize like the importance of that and how that was going to shift the direction for Vibeapple?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the situation is we're creating all these event concepts. We did have like an after movie filmed, but we weren't able to then advertise the next party or when the next year came along, all we had was an after movie. We didn't really have anything else
Sure.
content wise, and we'd have to like reinvent the wheel every time with marketing. And marketing was typically me and Amari
Yeah.
making memes. And so I would be like come up with fun ideas to market the events. Like the ones when I first came up with Inflatable Safari, I grabbed an inflatable monkey, attached it to my backpack, and I went out to the playpen. I went cycling through the city.
Yeah.
I stopped at Oak Street Beach. I went everywhere with this monkey called Milo. And
Guerrilla marketing, if you will.
guerrilla marketing, monkey marketing. And and eventually, people are like, what is this inflatable monkey thing? Oh, I'm throwing an event, scan this QR code. And then all of a sudden, we built up an audience for Inflatable Safari, which was the first time we ever did it.
Yep.
And had 1,000+ people come. It's even though we have the Mykonos or white party or Nights of Mykonos, it doesn't mean that they're going to come to your next one.
Sure.
It might not appeal to them. I don't want to dress up in animal print. I'm not going to go to your party. There's different people, and that's why we have different themes and different events that appeal to everyone. I look at the data and I see that certain people go to certain parties, and some don't. They have their favorites, which is interesting when you look at the data. But also, we have a diverse crowd of people that like different genres of music. Some like rooftop parties, some like patio parties, some like the beach parties, some like dressing up in all white. So we have a very diverse crowd, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And to go back to your marketing question, I knew I needed to get a serious marketing team, like Link Creative, because I knew that I can't do it by myself. And one of my biggest lessons is that you have to delegate and share, otherwise you're just going to burn out. I can't do everything, and that's why you guys have been pivotal to our success for the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, it's something that's definitely progressing right now. We're at the point where there's sub-brands of the flagship events being launched under the Vibeapple name, which is a great sign. Following that, like, what do you guys see as the vision, not only for 2025, but over the next, 5-10 years? You've been able to leverage a lot of resources to get this far, and I know you're kind of only scraping the surface, I would say. So what does that Dan Meyer vision look like long term?
Oh boy,
there's a lot in my head, but I think for us is just to make sure that the parties that are now part of the Chicago, I guess, year plan for if you do follow Vibeapple and want to attend all the events, we have those laid out, and those are going to be staples, and we make sure that those are high quality and we keep improving them.
Yeah.
We're never going to be complacent and just chill. And Nora might hate me for this, but I want to spend more money making the experiences better for people. We want to keep ticket prices affordable. We don't believe in jacking up the prices at all. So we look at other ways to, try to drive revenue, either through sponsors and things like that. But vision 4 is really do what we do right now and make it better. And then look to other concepts and other experiences we can create. We have a few in our kitchen that we're cooking up, but we do also want to expand into Miami. We did Art Basel, which I think you mentioned earlier. We did 4 events there at the same pool where we did different themes and showcased our themes we already do in Chicago, in Miami, and they were successful. So now we're seeing what we can do, and we got Miami Music Week is coming up. I have something maybe I might announce, but it's all dependent on something. But there's ideas out there to do some Miami stuff, and maybe New York as well. So we're looking at other cities. We've had people from other states come into Chicago for our events. The data is telling us that.
Right. And
we've actually had New Yorkers say, please bring Safari to New York. And we're like, we'd love to.
Yeah.
And so we know there's demand out there. So it's more about just doing the research, finding the right partners, and then executing.
Nice. Love it. Nora, anything to add to that? What's maybe Dan's vision? What's your more realistic Nora goal side to that question?
I think he kept it on the real. All of those things will happen. Anything Dan puts his mind to, he will accomplish. even like the first year of me working with Dan, I was like a little nervous. I was like, oh my God.
You need that though, right? You need it.
And then it wears off after a while because you just see him accomplish it time and time and time again. I personally love New York, so fingers crossed.
I guess New York first then.
Yeah.
Same actually.
Here we go. So New York would be amazing. And then seeing where it goes from there, if we can get something internationally, I think for us working and finding the right partners that Dan mentioned is going to be a huge thing. I think Vibeapple is a very much like you go farther together type business.
For sure.
And so finding people who are experts in their field and what they do, whether it's in Chicago or nationally or internationally, I think it's definitely going to be a track that Vibeapple goes.
Yeah, I think experiential events is the future.
Yeah.
Straight out of COVID, I think I was bored of nightlife everywhere, and was like, I can do this better. So, created Vibeapple as like this a side hustle, and now, I believe experiential events can now take over at some point, but help venues reimagine, because venues are great and they need to survive. And I think if we can reimagine that with them, I think that's the future as well. And then travel. I love traveling. Most people do. I think the new generation wants to travel now in the US. So there's opportunity now to do stuff elsewhere, but keep that Vibeapple flair there as well.
Yeah, the consistency. No, I think you guys both put it very well. This has been an amazing conversation. I'm super grateful of our relationship. I'm glad you guys were able to come on. Before we wrap up though, I guess on both your guys' end, one piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring, young business owner, young professional, entrepreneur, something that you wish maybe you knew when you were starting out.
Yeah, so the generic answer I would say is like, find something you're good at and get really good at that first, and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I think I learned I was doing too much at once when I first went full time, and now I've like figured out, okay, let's get this done first and then move on. But the other big advice that I received from an events guy, he told me that, you're as good as your team. And if you don't have a team, you're not that good. So make sure you find the best people that you trust and are loyal and that actually show up for you and are available and reliable. That's what you should do. So that's my advice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess mine is connected to Dan's in the format of the people around you. I think it's important to find people who see your strengths and appreciate those strengths and are willing to really hone them in and encourage you to be better and grow bigger. I think for a lot of people, they've been stuck in a 9-to-5 job or whatever it's been, where they've been pigeonholed into one career or into one job within this, larger company. But finding these outlets or surrounding yourself with people who have aligned visions, and secondly, aligned values. Find people who align with your values. And when you wake up in the morning, you know that you're going to be surrounded with people that care about you and care about your personal growth as well. So I think that would be along the same lines. Just find the people. Yeah.
100%. Like, totally resonate with that. I definitely agree. Again, thank you guys so much for doing this. This was great. We're going to have to do it again in a year and then talk about everything else that was accomplished. So super excited for Vibeapple, super excited for the growth you guys are going to continue to experience. So Link Live episode 4. It's a wrap.
Thank you.